Father-in-law Kaido's monster cells create the strongest beasts. 21. The strength of Liu Xing, the canary in the cage, seeking a monthly ticket for flower evaluation. The sound in his ear was like a thunderstorm, which made Xiaozi's mind go blank for a moment. After a long while, she turned around with a trembling body, looking at the man with arms folded and half smiling, and said bitterly, "You just pretended." "When did I reveal it?" Xiaozi was very puzzled. Just now, she never showed any flaws. After all, she has been doing this for more than 10 years. From a very young age, he has mastered superb acting skills. Liu Xing shrugged, but the words in his mouth made Xiaozi fall into an ice cellar. "I knew there was something wrong with you before you entered this room, Miss Yuri." Xiaozi's legs were weak, and she almost lost her footing. That delicate and flawless face was even more frighteningly pale. "You also know my identity, Oki, Kaido. Do you all that know?" "That's not true. At present, only I know your true identity." Liu Xing paced and came to Xiaozi. He stretched out a finger and raised the beauty's pointed chin. Kozuki Hiyari was like a solitary little beast, trembling lightly, without any resistance at all. But the next moment, she bit her lip fiercely, but she mustered up her courage and avoided Liu Xing's fingers. Liu Xing let out a light hum and said unexpectedly, as expected of a woman who dared to hide in the enemy's base camp for more than 10 years, she really has a bit of courage." Xiaozi said Kaido, "Because I am the daughter of the Kozuki family." There was a glimmer of admiration in Liu Xing's eyes, but then he sneered, "Well said, but unfortunately, without enough strength to support, no amount of courage will be in vain." Xiaozi bit her lower lip tightly, feeling powerless all over her body. She already knew that in front of this man, deception, courage, and charm were all meaningless. "Before you kill me, can I ask you a question?" Xiaozi said after a moment of silence. "Ask." Liu Xing didn't care. "You just said that you don't have any weirdo cells at all. Can I understand that you are deceiving the big snake?" "So smart." Liu Xing snapped his fingers and said with a smile, "I really appreciate you more and more. In this case, I still have the mood to think about other things." "Why do you do this?" "You beasts, pirates and Oki, aren't you a partnership?" Xiaozi asked. No, it's not a partnership. Kurezumi is just a dog under my father-in-law. If the dog is not obedient, of course it will be killed." Liu Xing's understated tone, as if he was talking about something trivial. Xiaozi's body shook violently. She never thought that Liu Xing's purpose was to kill the Kurezumi snake. But the problem came again. Since Kurezumi is going to be killed, why do they have to hold a ceremony, invite famous people from all over Wanokuni, and even broadcast live broadcasts across the country with videophone bugs? Before Xiaozi could ask, suddenly there was a loud noise. The door was smashed, and a figure rushed in. "Miss Yuri, run away." The figure's voice was urgent, and while speaking, he drew a knife in his hand and slashed towards Liu, crossing. Denjiro. Xiaozi recognized the figure as Denjiro. Apparently, Denjiro came to save her after seeing that she hadn't gone back for so long, knowing that she had an accident. Xiaozi stepped forward and was about to run away. She could not live up to Denjiro's sacrifice. But the next second, she stopped. In the beautiful eyes, full of horror. "I see." The man named Liu Xing's palm suddenly turned black, and with a random slap, he deflected Denjiro's sword, then bullied him forward, and slashed his palm across Denjiro's shoulder. "What?" Denjiro screamed, and the entire right arm holding the sword was cut off. After that, the demon-like palm turned upwards again, and pinched Denjiro's neck so fiercely that the latter couldn't even make a scream. Liu Xing's voice was indifferent. "It seems that I have never shown my strength. Any cat or dog would dare to attack me." Dead silence. Hell-like silence. Xiaozi was so terrified that she forgot to breathe. Denjiro struggled desperately, but couldn't make a sound. Only blood stained the ground. In this dark night, there is a kind of horror. I don't know how long ago. When Denjiro was about to die, Xiaozi finally said with a trembling voice, Can I let Denjiro go?" "No matter what you ask, I will promise you." Liu Xing's tone was indifferent and mocking. "Are you qualified to negotiate terms with me?" The palm slammed hard. Denjiro's neck was completely twisted, and the body fell to the ground like a dead dog. Tears fell from Xiaozi's pale cheeks. She couldn't hold it any longer. She slumped to the ground, and said desperately, You kill me." Liu Xing took out a piece of silk, wiped the bloodline from his palm, and slowly came to Xiaozi, condescending like a monarch who judges mortals. Liu Xing stretched out his finger and raised the delicate chin of the weak beauty, and his voice became surprisingly gentle. "You know the canary, it's a very beautiful bird. Because it's so beautiful, people like to put it in a cage and watch it when it's okay." Xiaozi closed her eyes and burst into tears. She wanted to bite her tongue and kill herself, but she found that the deep fear from her heart made her not even have the strength to bite off her tongue. And this time, she no longer has the courage to get rid of Liu Xing's fingers. 22. Witnessed by the whole country, the serpent was executed, seeking flower evaluation. Liu Xing summoned Qin. Qin saw Xiaozi, who was sitting on the ground crying, and the corpse of Guangxi lying, her face covered in a circle. "Master Consort, What happened? Xiaozi and I were drinking. This madman suddenly came in and wanted to assassinate me. I had to kill him, Liu Xing said calmly. Quinn touched the bald head, looked at Xiaozi who was crying, and looked at the dead man, Guangxi lying. His wise mind turned, and he suddenly made up an emotional drama. As the captain of the Oki Guard, Guangxi has always had a crush on the Oiran Xiaozi. Seeing that Xiaozi and the concubine were in love with each other at night, they were jealous and angry, so they made the assassination move. Quinn, who thought he knew everything, smiled and said, "Don't worry, the concubine, Guangxi is more than dead, and I will tell the big snake." Liu Xing didn't need to guess to know that Quinn must have made up his mind in that direction, so he continued to explain and directly ordered, "Quinn, you have someone drag the corpse of the madman out, and then clean the ground. In addition, find a place for Xiaozi in the flower capital and send someone to protect her 24 hours a day." An ambiguous smile appeared on Quinn's chubby face, and she leaned in front of Liu Xing and said, "It's a treasure in the Golden House. I know. I definitely won't tell Master Yamato about this." Liu Xing gave Quinn an admiring look, and the latter went to work immediately. Looking at the back of Xiaozi who left in despair, Liu Xing thought of his wife Yamato. To be honest, he was a little unsure. It is uncertain whether Yamato, who has always been gentle and obedient to him, will immediately become a female Tyrannosaurus after learning that he has raised a canary outside. In short, this matter was kept secret from Yamato. 2 days passed quickly. Famous people from 6 areas, including Julai and Baiwu, arrived at the flower capital one after another. Each of them is very popular among the Wanokuni people and can be regarded as representatives of various regions. The capital of flowers is getting more and more lively, and today it is even more colorful. The gate of the general's house. Wanokuni's general, Kurozumi Oki, was so excited that the smile on his ugly face never stopped. In the square inches front of him, well-known people from various districts are sitting on the left. Liu Xing, Quinn and others are sitting on the right. In the distance, there are countless people who came to watch the ceremony in the capital of flowers. Around, there are also several large videophone bugs. The situation here will be broadcast to all parts of Wanokuni in real time. In the center of the square, 100 strong men stood. They are the most loyal subordinates carefully selected by Oki, as well as the elite members of the Kurozumi family. Originally, this must include the guard captain, Kurashiro, but he was already dead. Okimaru is extremely dissatisfied with Liu Xing killing Guangxi without authorization, and is even more resentful that Liu Xing kidnapped his favorite Oiran Xiaozi. But, thinking of the 100 monster cells in Liu Xing's hands, thinking that the strength of his subordinates is about to leap forward, and thinking that everyone in Wanokuni will be more in awe of themselves from now on, the big snake endured. He didn't show any anger at all, and even kept a flattering smile on his face. "Consort Liu Xing, everything is ready. Can you take out the monster cells?" Liu Xing glanced down. Representatives of various districts, live broadcast telephone bugs, and countless people onlookers. "Everything is indeed ready." Liu Xing chuckled and nodded, "Okay." His gaze gestured to the masked man sitting under his head. The masked man stood up, tall, looking at the bulging chest. It seemed to be a woman. She went straight to the big snake. Oki was puzzled. He had never seen this person before. Liu Xing's concubine. This person is. The voice has not yet fallen. The masked man suddenly let out a cold shout. "My name is Yamato, the one who executed you." "Kurozumi Oki, you have done a lot of evil, you have lost your conscience, and you will die today. Use your head to comfort the suffering of the Wanokuni people." Xing. A loud sword cry flashing with ultimate cold light, reflected on the dazed and horrified ugly face of the big snake, reflected in the unbelievable pupils of everyone present, and all the people in Wanokuni in front of the videophone bug. Julai Bayani village. A cute little girl about 5 or 6 years old, wearing a light green kimono, was following an old man with a long nose, at the urging of the village chief, to gather at the gate of the village. "Master, is there anything important today? Why does the village chief want us all to go to the village entrance?" The little girl tilted her cute little head, suddenly thought of something, and said with great anticipation, "Is the village chief going to give us food?" When it comes to the word food, the little girl's big eyes are full of light, and her stomach even growls. "Ayu, how can there be such a good thing?" The long-nosed old man, the swordsmith Tengu Shanfito sighed. "The current general Wanokuni is not the old Kozuki family, but the Kurozumi Oki. It would be good if the Oki didn't kill us, and he still expects him to give us food." The little Galeu said indignantly, "The Kurozumi snake is really bad." Tengu Shanfche shook his head helplessly. "Who doesn't know that the serpent is so bad that it has boils, but who can do anything to the serpent?" The two came all the way to the entrance of the village. All the villagers gathered here to watch the vision of the flower city projected by the videophone bug. The village chief said, "Today, the subordinates of General Oki will eat the monster cells brought by the concubine of the beasts, and their strength will immediately leap. Let's witness this exciting moment together." "What?" The village head of the dog-legged subordinate of the big snake, Gujizi, just finished speaking, Some villagers exclaimed, "Are you screaming with excitement?" The head of Guitou then found out all the villagers had expressions of excitement and surprise. He couldn't help but smile with satisfaction. Turning to look at the big screen, the smile on his face suddenly solidified, turned into disbelief, turned into horror. Because he saw, on the big screen, General Oki, who was still elated just now, had his head cut off at this moment and was held in the hands of a masked woman. The huge plaque in the general's mansion was dyed a dazzling scarlet by the blood that was continuously spurting out of the snake's broken neck. 23. Wanokuni changes. The new General Yamato. Ask for a flower evaluation. Add. July is somewhere close to the flower capital. A group of bandits are on their way. The one headed by him has a wide body and a fat body, and his strength is strong. Boss Maru, things seem to have changed. The Oki died, and that Kurezumi Oki was killed. What did you say? Maru, who used to be called Ashura Boy, was defeated by Eden and became his retainer. After Eden died, Maru, who went up the mountain as a thief, looked at his subordinates in disbelief. The man swallowed a mouthful of saliva and said in shock, "Yes. It's true. In the village we just passed by, the big screen of the video phone bug is clearly displayed. Go and see." Maru rode back without saying a word. "When I came to the village, I saw the head of the Kurezumi snake on the screen, being held in the hands of one person. How is it possible? Why did Kaido kill Oki?" Maru felt unbelievable, and the whole world view was greatly impacted. As a retainer of Kazuki Eden, although he went to the mountain as a thief, his ambition remained unchanged and he was always loyal to Eden. After learning that the concubine of the beasts gave Oki 100 monster cells, he immediately decided to rob and take away the monster cells. Although such a move is likely to anger Kaido so much that he no longer tolerates him, Maru does not hesitate to do so. He is a person who should not live in the world. However, he never imagined that he was being tricked. That beast prince-in-law was not prepared to give cells to the Oki. His real purpose was to kill the Oki. Maru's gaze moved away from Kurezumi's head and fell on Liu Xing's. Seeing that the other party was still tasting wine calmly at the moment, his pupils could not help shrinking sharply. Add. How holy is this man? Exclamation mark. What is the reason why he killed the big snake? Liu Xing slowly drained the wine from the glass. He knew that the people present at the moment, the people from all over Wanokuni, and the surviving remnants of the Kazuki family must be very puzzled. Isn't the 100 Beasts a cooperative relationship with Oki? Why do they want to kill Oki? And under the witness of the whole country, the Oki will be executed? The execution was done by his wife Yamato himself, and he naturally had to rely on him to solve the confusion. Liu Xing stood up, cleared his throat, and said aloud, "Squires, viewers, and all the people in Wanokuni in front of the screen, hello everyone. My name is Liu Xing, and the one who just executed Kurezumi is my wife Yamato. We beasts pirates first came to Wanokuni, completely deceived by Kurezumi Oki, thinking that he was here to save you. I didn't expect Kurezumi Oki to be mad, and after taking the position of general, he did the opposite. After knowing this, Boss Kaido beat his feet and stomped his chest and regretted it too much. So let's kill the big snake and make up for our past mistakes." Liu Xing's remarks, the central idea is that all the bad things are done by the big snake Kurezumi, and it has nothing to do with the beasts and his father-in-law Kaido. Such rhetoric, ignorant people may believe, but Jushinwen and people of insight from all over the world scoff at it and do not believe it at all. Liu Xing didn't expect everyone to believe it, as long as the people at the bottom were drawn over. Fang Kai's words were to rectify the name of the 100 Beasts and to build momentum for Yamato. Next, we must give the people real favors. Combined with the combination of name and reality, coupled with Yamato's achievements in executing Kurezumi Oki, it is logical for her to take over the position of General Wanokuni. Liu Xing continued in a vigorous voice, "We knows that under the rule of Kurezumi Oki, everyone's life is not easy, especially the people. Even eating is a problem. So, we decided to overturn all the previous regulations of the big snake and reenact the law." As soon as this remark came out, it immediately caused a huge sensation in Wanokuni. Those well-known figures from various districts who were present were whispering and looking surprised. What do the 100 Beasts want to do? Really want to be nice to us? How is it possible? They are all ferocious pirates. But, they killed the Kurezumi Oki, and, with the strength of Kaido of the Beasts, there's no need to deceive us at all. The crowd was silent. This is indeed the truth. If the beasts want to rule Wanokuni, they don't need to care about their thoughts at all. July Bayani village. The little Galayu jumped up happily. That bad guy Kurezumi is dead. That big brother looks good. He must be a good guy. Tangusha and Feish whispered, "Ayu, that person is the consort of the 100 Beasts. How could he be a good person? He is definitely deceiving us." Ayu said unconvinced, "Big brother didn't lie. I can see it," with a furious beard. He had witnessed the tragedy of the Kazuki family with his own eyes, so he didn't trust anyone in the 100 Beasts at all. Just as he was about to continue reprimanding Ayu, he heard the voice of the beast consort. "The new law stipulates that all weapons factories in Wanokuni must be kept away from water sources in the future. and are not allowed to pollute the environment. Those poisonous foods are not allowed to be eaten by the public. Because of the failed man-made devil fruit residue, it was eaten by the hungry people as food, so that no matter how sad and painful they are in the future, they will only have a laughing expression. This is one of Wanokuni's biggest tragedies! Of course Liu Xing has to change. In addition, I have had people buy dozens of ships of food from the outside world, parked outside the port of Wanokuni, and will distribute it to the citizens immediately. Whoa. The people of Wanokuni suddenly had a gleam of surprise in their eyes. If Liu Xing's words made them suspicious and didn't feel much, then the dozens of boats of food made them completely moved. After all, hunger is the biggest enemy of all Wanokuni people in the past 10 years. Tango Shinfei couldn't say what he said. He was stunned. Ayu clapped her hands excitedly. Oh, there is food. There is something to eat. I just said the big brother is a good person. In front of the general's house. After Liu Xing finished speaking, he glanced at the stunned squires in various districts and said, everyone is a well-known figure in Wanokuni. I wonder if you can trust the sincerity of our beasts. Would you like to support Yamato as the new general of Wanokuni? No one responded, and apparently they still had doubts. Liu Xing's eyes suddenly turned cold, and his tone became cold. Quinn, my subordinates are here. Epidemic calamity. Quinn responded loudly with a grin. Those squires trembled in fear. Execute these 100 Oki subordinates and all the Kurezumi family members to death. Order. Quinn's fat face was full of brutal grins, and he led 100 fierce warriors to the empowered legion, like wolves entering the flock, and instantly killed Oki subordinates. The Kurezumi family was exterminated. The ground was stained with blood, and the entire general's mansion was soaked in a pool of blood. The strong smell of blood in the air made people shudder. Those squires couldn't sit still any longer, and fell to their knees one by one. Tremblingly said, meet Liu Xing's concubine. Meet General Yamato. From this moment on, Wanokuni has changed. 24. The blood and blood rain caused by the monster cells. The superiors pay attention to both grace and power. Although Liu Xing is not a vicious villain, he is not a bad guy either. He has already given kindness to the people of Wanokuni, and has bought dozens of ships of grain from the outside with his own pockets. If the squires of these districts still refuse to surrender and make Yamato the new general of Wanokuni, then the fate of the Kurezumi clan is their example. Fortunately, there is no iron-headed baby among these people. At this moment, they are kneeling on the ground obediently, expressing their obedience. Liu Xing motioned Yamato to speak with his eyes. Yamato understood. Liu Xing had taught her what to say at this time. Everyone, please get up. Yamato's voice is majestic and yet kind. Kurezumi Oki is full of evil, and it is not a pity to die. It has nothing to do with you. On the contrary, all of you are well-known squires from all over Wanokuni, who are in the people's esteem, and will govern Wanokuni in the future. I will make more use of your talents. If you have any worthy sons and nephews in your family, you can also recommend them to me to serve in the general's mansion. When the squires kneeling on the ground heard it, their eyes suddenly lit up. Using their talents and letting them recommend their nephews and nephews is not giving them political power. The squires were simply amazed and delighted. In the past, although they had a bad reputation in various places, Oki treated them with no respect at all. They were always treated as slaves, threatening their lives at every turn. It's not like this new general, not only has a friendly tone, but also gives them so many benefits. Thank you, General. No matter how much anxiety these squires still have in their hearts, this thank you at this time is undoubtedly a lot more joyful and loyal than just now. Liu Xing's mouth twitched. Using food resources to win over the people of Wanokuni, with political promises, the interests of the squires are tied to the boat of the beasts. In this way, even if Kozuki Eden is resurrected, it is impossible to easily shake Yamato's general status. Many times, many things cannot be done with great brute force, and you must use your mind. Kozuki Eden just didn't understand this truth, so he wasted such a big advantage and ended up dying. When Wanokuni changed, the outside world caused a lot of blood and rain because of the weird cells that Liu Xing sold to Auntie. Turn out to be, after the aunt spent $5 billion to buy 50 monster cells, the more she thought about it, the more she felt the pain. Although Wango is richer than Wanokuni, it is not much richer either. Taking out $5 billion can be regarded as a big hemorrhage. Especially the aunt is an extremely gluttonous person who spends a lot of money every day to buy precious sweets from all over the world. As a result, the capital chain of IWC is a little tight. Charlotte Kategori, the second son who actually handles the specific affairs of the world, advised the aunt, Mom, we might as well take out 10 monster cells and sell them for 200 million. The aunt was very unhappy when she heard it. It took her favor to get it from the old boy Kaido. How could she sell it to others? But I don't know what to think. The aunt suddenly turned from anger to joy. Okay, good, sell 10 monster cells, let the wind out, and let those buyers have to come to Wango to do business. Kategori immediately understood what Big Mom meant. It is to let those buyers bring the money to Wango, and then keep the money. People can get away. Of course, it is impossible to get the weird cells. What? Are you saying that my dignified for Emperor's mother doesn't mean anything? Okay, the old lady will take another 50 years of your life. To put it bluntly, Auntie is a clear robbery, which is no different from the robbery of the 100 beasts some time ago. Although Category thinks that this move will damage the reputation of their aunt pirates, but since his mother has decided, he can only do it. So the news was spread as early as from Marine's side. The underworld bosses who learned that monster cells are comparable to devil fruit, immediately became like cats smelling fishy, and they all started to move. Certainly, there are many smart people among them, who can see the wishful thinking of the aunt, but the allure of monster cells is too great, making these underworld bosses decide to take the risk. They first made a huge cake to attract the attention of the aunt, then worked together to create chaos in the world, and then send people to steal the monster cells. Not to mention, they really made them successful. If Category, the head of the star, had the ability to predict the future, maybe all 50 of Auntie's weird cells would have been stolen. Even so, more than a dozen were lost and fled to the outside world. In an instant, the whole sea was surging. The bigwigs in the underground world took action one after another to snatch the dozen or so freak cells. There are only 3 in the 7 warlords of the sea: Don Quixote, Flamingo, Gecko Moria, and Crocodile. The sand crocodile entrenched in Alabaster. In addition, Queen of the Pleasure District Stacy, Morgans, President of the News of the World, Giants of Elbaf Kingdom, Germa Kingdom and many more participated. Even, some people said that they saw the red hair of the 4 emperors, Marine and the world government. Of course, plus the extremely angry aunt. In short, for these dozen monster cells, there have been several large-scale battles in the sea, and there are countless small-scale fires. The price of monster cells has also been fired to a sky-high price, once reaching 1 billion Bailey, comparable to some of Logia's devil fruit. 25. The whereabouts of the monster cells. The disposal of all parties. New World Dressrosa. Doflamingo looked at the weird purple flesh in his hands, and his flamingo-like eyes showed excitement and greed. Nanadova. Next to him, Terepol, the top carder of the Don Quixote family, who was covered in sticky snot, urged, "You managed to grab this monster cell by yourself, so hurry up and eat it." The 50 monster cells that Liu Oxing sold to the aunt were stolen by the bigwigs in the underground world. After countless brutal fights, one of them fell into the hands of Doflamingo. The monster cells that claim to be able to multiply people's strength. Xiaozi would like to see how it works. Doflamingo didn't hesitate and ate it in one bite. After a while, his body began to change, and every hair on his body stood upright, like a hedgehog. The cells on the surface of the body continued to proliferate, and the severe pain distorted his expression. When everything stopped, Doflamingo, whose breath became more terrifying before, laughed wildly up to the sky. "Ha ha ha ha! What an amazing invention! Freak cells filled my body with unprecedented power. The only throne on the sea will definitely belong to me. Ha 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 ha!" Horror bark. Gecko Moria, one of the Shikibukai's shadow fruit abilities, is furious. "What the hell, Absalom, you lost Xiaozi's freak cells." Absalom, the transparent fruit person, said with shame, "I'm sorry Moria-sama, I already stole that monster cell, but it was taken away by red-hair pirates." Lord Moria also knows that in front of the observation haki of the red-haired 4 emperors, my transparency is completely useless. Gecko Moria was furious and roared through gritted teeth, "Damn redhead, wait for Xiaozi. Sooner or later Xiaozi will turn you into a zombie too." A red figure suddenly floated in front of Moria, with a few white ghosts wandering around. "Lord Moria, why don't we go and trouble the redhead now?" People use the negative ghost to make the redhead kneel in front of you and admit his mistake, the spooky Perona said with a smile. Gecko Moria twitched the corners of his mouth and said, "Redhead, Xiaozi will find him sooner or later. But the first enemy we have to deal with now is not him, but that bastard Kaido." Speaking of Kaido, Moria's face showed even more hatred than before. Because he went to challenge Kaido many years ago, and all his subordinates were killed by Kaido. Such deep hatred, Moria has never forgotten. Alabaster. Crocodile. The sand crocodile, said playfully to the woman in a small suit showing her round belly button, as expected of the devil's son who used to wander in the underground world, it is truly remarkable to be able to successfully capture a monster cell in the hands of so many strong men. The survivor of Ohara, Nico Robin, who was offered a bounty of 79 million by the world government at the age of 8, Kaido with an expressionless face, "It's just a fluke. The monster cells have been brought to you. Do you eat it yourself or let others eat it?" Crocodile stood up, took the freak cell from Nico Robin's hand, and admired, "How can such a good thing be given to others?" His eyes suddenly turned to Robin again, and a few dangerous cold rays flashed in the depths of his pupils. "By the way, why don't you secretly eat it yourself? Maybe after eating it, your strength will surpass mine, and you won't have to stay in the Baroque studio again." It's a deadly question, and the wrong answer is death. Nico Robin has no doubt that Crocodile will kill her. She tensed up, trying to squeeze out a smile. "Lord Crocodile, you took me in when I was desperately pursued by the world government. How could I betray you?" Crocodile sneered, You are wise. Then, he ate the monster cells. Looking at Crocodile, whose body surface began to undergo terrifying changes, the cold sweat on Robin's back grew more and more. This man will soon be more terrifying than before, and she may never be able to escape his control. Red Hair Pirates. As another 4 Emperors regiment other than Big Mom, this time, the Redhead group got the most monster cells. 3. One of them was snatched from Moriya's Absalom. At this time, all the important members of the Red group gathered together to watch the 3 weird cells. Captain, what are you going to do with these weird cells? Do you want to eat them yourself? Asked the fat man Kaido. The red-haired Shanks shook his head and said, I can't eat this kind of thing, and neither can you. Deputy Captain Ben Beckman agreed. The biggest difference between us and other 4 Emperors regiments is that the members do not have demon fruit power, and of course they don't need to eat these monster cells. Hearing this, Kaido wondered, then why does the captain want to rob the monster cells? The red hair said bluntly, just to see how amazing the monster cell invented by the mysterious beast consort. What do you think? We have no one to eat. Beckman picked up a man from behind and threw it to the ground. Let this guy eat it. Everyone in the red-haired group saw that the man was actually a big pirate with a bounty of hundreds of millions, and he was quite famous in New World. Kaido stuffed the monster cell into the mouth of the big pirate. The big pirate let out a miserable howl, and his body suddenly swelled up, breaking the chains that bound him. Redhead, Beckman and others were amazed. This monster cell is really a bit extraordinary. Roar. The big pirate suddenly roared like a beast and climbed up. The 4 Emperors have red hair. Thank you for feeding me this weirdo cell, and my strength has undergone earth-shaking changes. I want revenge on you. Go to hell, Redhead. The violent murderous aura swept across the 4 directions, and the powerful momentum made many people in the red-haired group change their faces. Everyone stepped back, full of vigilance. At this time, a huge sword wave suddenly shot from the coast. The sword wave was unparalleled, and it swept past the center of the big pirate's body, accompanied by a cold voice. It's nothing more than a freak cell. The red hair was stunned for a moment, then jumped and cursed. Hawkeye, this is my territory. You can break in without authorization, and you even broke my toys. 26. Liu Xing bounty, 1.5 billion Bailey. Who can send such a powerful sword wave at will, except for Dracula Mihawk, the world's largest swordsman? Hawkeye came straight to the redhead. The two are old friends, and used to practice swordsmanship from time to time. The redhead shrugged helplessly, knowing that a person with a cold personality like Hawkeye would not apologize for killing his toy without permission, so he sat down on the ground and said, Why are you looking for me? I heard that you have spent a lot of time fighting for the monster cells, so I came to take a look. Hawkeye said lightly. The redhead picked up a small piece of grass out of nowhere and put it in his mouth. Did you come here to see my joke on purpose? Hawkeye glanced at the corpse that he had killed with one knife. If it's only this level, the weirdo cells you've spent a lot of time robbing are really a joke. The monster cells doubled the strength of the big pirate just now, and the aura soared, causing many people in the red-haired group to change color. But, in front of the top powerhouses such as Hawkeye and Red Hair, it is still far from enough to see. The red hair spit out grass, and the sloppy expression suddenly became serious. Hawkeye, you are wrong. According to the information I secretly probed, the monster cells that the concubine of the beasts sold to Charlotte Linlin are only low-level ones. He also invented a high-level monster cells. It's the kind of high-level monster cell that made the ancient species of fruit that made the 100 beasts fly to the 6 cells, and evolved into the phantom beast species. Hawkeye's sharp pupils shrank slightly. This was the first time he had heard the news. The high-level monster cells that can allow the ancient species to evolve into the phantom beast species, even him, can no longer be regarded as ordinary. Hawkeye was silent for a moment and then asked, How much do you know about that beast consort? The redhead shook his head and sighed. I basically don't understand him at all. He is too mysterious. He has never shown his face in the outside world. So far, no one even knows his appearance. Having said that, the redhead thought of his daughter again, and he was unavoidably envious that Kaido had found a good son-in-law. Ben Beckman exhaled a puff of smoke. Anyway, the guy who can invent the weirdo cell is absolutely amazing. Redhead, Hawkeye, Kaido and the others all nodded in agreement. The monster cells can be compared to devil fruit. For people with such research and development capabilities, the entire sea is probably only Vegapunk hidden by the world government, which can be compared with it. Hawkeye changed the subject and talked about something else. Redhead, I'm going to take a trip to East Blue. This time I'm saying goodbye to you. Hawkeye looked at the red-haired empty left arm. I want to know what kind of powerhouse is hidden in East Blue, who is known as the weakest in the world, so that you can lose an arm. As soon as this word comes out, the redhead and the red-haired people all had embarrassed smiles on their faces. That's not a glorious thing. The red hair coughed, and half flickered and half persuaded. Hawkeye, if it's because of this, then I advise you not to go to East Blue. If you meet the King of the Sea, I'm afraid your life will be in danger. Marine Headquarters Marineford, to say that the biggest beneficiaries of this competition for monster souls must be Marine and the world government. After all, their spies are everywhere, and their overall power is undoubtedly #1 on the sea. Now, in Marshal Marine's office, Sengoku, Garp, Juru, and 3 Admiral were all present. Sengoku said, "We handed over all the weird cells we got this time to Dr. Vegapunk for research. The doctor has already sent news that he can analyze the mechanism of the weird cells, but he can't analyze the mechanism of their production. That said, we Marines can't replicate weirdo cells." Garp and 3 Admiral were all surprised. Even Dr. Vegapunk, who was able to develop an artificial devil fruit, couldn't understand the monster cells. Does that mean that Liu Oxing's research ability is still higher than that of Dr. Vegapunk? This is really creepy. One more thing, Sengoku continued. The gold in the sky in the New World was plundered by the Beast's pirates again. It's not enough to grab the first time, but also to grab the second time. This has never happened in the 800-year history of world government. Damn, bastards from the Beast's pirates. The hot-tempered Ainu couldn't hold back his anger. Sengoku sighed. The gold in the sky was robbed twice, and the 5 elders made a real fire and gave a death order, and asked the old man to dispatch Admiral to protect the gold in the sky. Sengoku glanced at Ainu, Aokiji, and Kizaru. "You, who is willing to do this?" Sengoku's eyes stayed on Aokiji for the longest time. After all, Aokiji was his favorite successor. However, Aokiji didn't want to be a dog for celestial dragons, and didn't mean to ask Ying. Kizaru, the off-duty man, was still cutting his nails, as if he hadn't heard it all. No surprise, it was Ainu who took care of it. Finally, at the request of the world government, we will issue a bounty to the concubine of the beasts. The amount of the bounty was set by the 5 elders himself. Sengoku took a deep breath and said a number that made everyone's eyelids jump. Liu Xing, the consort of the beasts, offers a bounty of 1.5 billion Baileys. 27. The mysterious 5th Sea Emperor, with a picture of the protagonist's reward order. Big news. Big news. Mysterious beast consort, with a bounty of 1.5 billion Baileys. It is said that this bounty was set by the 5 elders, the highest power controller of the world government. Above the boundless sea, all the carrier pigeons of the news of the world are shouting in all parts of the world. People raised their heads in shock, took the newspaper that had fallen, and their eyes suddenly widened. Liu Xing, the concubine of all animals, has a bounty of 1.5 billion Baileys. Hiss. I don't know how many voices gasping for air. That's 1.5 billion Baileys, higher than the second-in-command of the Imperial Regiment. In the entire ocean, the bounty is higher than Liu Xing, and only the 4 emperors who reigned over the New World and surpassed countless pirates. However, how come the pictures of hundreds of beasts and concubines in the bounty are a yellow duck? It should be that Marine still doesn't know what the concubine of the beasts looks like. What a mysterious figure. Even Marine spies all over the world can't see him. I haven't seen anyone, so I set the bounty to 1.5 billion Bailey, which is enough to prove how terrifying the beasts are. After all, he invented the existence of monster cells that can rival devil fruit. The whole world is full of heated discussions about Liu Crossing. Have you heard? Shikaibuki's Doflamenco and Crocodile both ate monster cells. Their strength is now much stronger than before. Even the strength of Shikaibuki can be strengthened. The monster cells are really scary. This is the reason why the world government has set a reward of 1.5 billion for the consort of the beasts. With this alone, this person's threat level is no less than that of the 4 emperors. As soon as this statement came out, it immediately aroused widespread recognition. In the underground world, there are more good people, who call Liu Xing, the mysterious 5th Sea Emperor. The terrain is dangerous, and Wanokuni, who is close to the country, gets the news a little later. This day, Liu Xing and his wife Yamato were distributing food to the people of Wanokuni when Quint suddenly came running over. Master Consort. Big news, big news. What news? So happy? Liu Xing asked casually while smiling and handing the food in his hand to a scrawny old man. After Kurezumi's death, Yamato succeeded in securing the position of General Wanokuni under Liu Xing's series of benevolent measures. In order to further win the hearts and minds of the people, Liu Xing Yamato even went down to the village and distributed food to the people. Certainly, mainly because Yamato wanted to do it, and he continued to enjoy it more and more. After all, improving Wanokuni's livelihood was her childhood dream. Yamato was also praised by the people of Wanokuni for this, and was called the most beautiful general in Wanokuni's history. Liu Xing also followed in order to please his wife. In fact, there is a little bit of Liu Xing's abacus inside. He has a canary outside with Yamato on his back, and he feels a little guilty. Quinn said, "Marine has a bounty for you." Oh? Liu Xing frowned, quite surprised. Seeing that Yamato was still happily handing out food to the people, Liu Xing pulled Quinn aside and stretched out his hand. "Where is the reward order? Let me see." After taking a look, Liu Xing immediately burst out with a foul language. "Grass, a plant." Quinn laughed and said, "You're scared, concubine." The bounty Marine gave you is as high as 1.5 billion. It's higher than mine. Liu Xing's mouth twitched. As a traveler, what he cares about is the mere 1.5 billion bounty, but his photo on the reward order. What kind of genius designed the duck? Destroyed Xiaozi's wise image. Liu Xing is so angry that if he catches that person, he has to let him know what a crow is on a plane. Quinn. Liu Xing instructed solemnly, gather up all the newspapers that fell into Wanokuni and burn them, so that no one else can see them, especially Yamato. The monk Quinn Jiang was at a loss. But since it was the order of the concubine, he had to let the people below do it. Master Consort, I have a more important thing to do with you. Quinn said, I found Jushinwen from the Taoshan bandit. Have you finally found it? It just so happens that I'm in a very bad mood right now, so let's get out of his anger. Liu Xing's dark eyes flickered slightly. Maru, Kazuki-dan's retainer, is strong and powerful, no weaker than Jack the Drow. Kaido valued him for this, and wanted to take him as a subordinate, so he never killed him, but let him have a good time in the Taoshan bandit. But, now that Liu Xing actually controls Wanokuni, how can he tolerate such a factor of uncertainty? If the other party takes the initiative to surrender, it's fine. He may give the other party a way out. But a few days have passed, and the shadow of Jushinwen has not appeared. Obviously, he did not intend to take refuge in Liu Crossing. If that's the case, then ask him to meet down and reunite with Kazuki-dan. Liu Xing is not like his cheap father-in-law Kaido's, who is soft-hearted because he values talents. In his opinion, those who do not submit to him are not called talents, they are called enemies, and they are called threats. To treat this kind of person, the only way to kill him is to kill him to avoid future troubles. 28. Terrible Liu Xing, Xiaozi's panic, seeking flower evaluation. Da. With the sound of messy hooves, all the members of the Taoshan thieves group were surrounded by a group of ferocious beasts. Arsel, the leader of the thieves group, Maru, had a very ugly expression. These beasts that besieged them were all transformed by zone-capable people, each with extraordinary strength. One-on-one, Jushinwen is not afraid of any of them. But against dozens of them all at once, even for him, there is only one end to death. Looks like Xiaozi's life is finally coming to an end today. Jutanwan was not afraid of death, but he didn't want to be confused, so he shouted loudly, come out whoever is behind these beasts. Xiaozi wants to know at whose hands he died. Whoa. The beasts suddenly voluntarily gave way and crawled to the ground obediently. How could they have the slightest ferocity? Maru's pupils shrank suddenly. In addition to Kaido himself, the beast's pirates is the only one who can make these beasts so obedient. A tall and handsome figure came into view. Jutanwan said word by word, sure enough, it's you, Liu Xing, the concubine of the beasts. Liu Xing played with the long sword in his hand and said lightly, you know me. It seems that you also watched the live execution of Kurozumi that day. Unfortunately, you did not choose to submit to me. Jutanwan sneered, do you think Xiaozi are those foolish people who will be deceived by your hypocritical appearance? You beasts pirates, you are all heinous sinners. Shut up. The plague Quinn's vagina beside Liu Xing, death is imminent, how dare you speak hard. After Lord Eden died, Xiaozi didn't want to live for a long time. In such a desperate situation, Jushinwen's aura was not weaker than Quinn in the slightest. Quinn's face was full of anger, but Liu Xing didn't change his expression. He pointed at Jushinwen with the sword in his hand, and said calmly, do you know whose sword this sword belongs to? Jutanwan was stunned for a moment, but Liu Xing would suddenly say such words, and subconsciously said, whose? Denjiro? The one who was one of the 9 heroes of Akasaka with you. What? Jushinwen was shocked and lost his voice. Bastard, what did you do to Denjiro? Naturally let him go down and reunite with Kazuki-dan. Don't worry, you will be with them soon. Liu Xing seemed to be talking about a trivial matter. He clamped his 2 fingers in the center of the long sword. With a little force, the long sword broke into 2 pieces. Quinn sneered when he received the message, kill the little ones. Kill the remnants of the Kazuki family. Hoo-hoo! Exclamation mark. The beast that was docilely kneeling on the ground immediately turned into a beast that chose people to devour. Each of them has a combat power no less than the original Flu Bao. Quinn also turned into a huge Brachiosaurus, brutally killing members of the Taoshan thieves group. The screams were endless, and the bloody smell rose to the sky. Jutanwan's eyes are split. But in this case, even if he has the strength of the 3 disasters, he is only struggling to the death. Half an hour later, the Taoshan thieves were slaughtered, and only the last breath of Jushinwen was left. He struggled, barely raising his head and looking in Liu Xing's direction. The spirit of the samurai will never be cut off. Someone will avenge me, and sooner or later you will pay the price. Liu Xing paced forward slowly, lowered his head, and looked down at Jushinwen lying in a pool of blood under his feet. The price? Are you talking about the so-called prophecy in 20 years, or the group of fur tribes in Zu? Jushinwen's eyes widened, as if he couldn't believe Liu Xing knew about these things. A gentle smile appeared on Liu Xing's mouth. Relax, whether it's a prophecy or a fur tribe, I will kill them in the cradle. Puff. Jushinwen spit out a mouthful of blood with viscera, and stared at Liu Xing, with some kind of ultimate fear in his eyes. He wanted to say something, but he couldn't say it anymore, just stared and died. Burn their bodies on fire, Liu Xing told Quinn, suddenly thinking of Eden's daughter Kozuki Hiyori. He hadn't seen the beautiful Canary since he was imprisoned by him. Unbeknownst to Kozuki Hiyori, who goes by the pseudonym Xiaozi, another member of her father's staff, Admiral, has died. She was sitting in a gorgeous boudoir in the capital of flowers. Her eyes were dull, and her face showed pain and dazed expressions from time to time. Her identity is revealed and her espionage career is over. Denjiro also died. Can she still avenge Kaido and Oki? Oh, there is no need to avenge Oki's revenge, because Oki has already been killed by that man. Although Xiaozi was detained here, she was sent news from outside every day. So, she knew Wanokuni had changed. The new General Wanokuni was the man's wife, a woman named Yamato. The wise Xiaozi had already figured out all the plans of the man, and was terrified of the man's terrifying means. In that person's hands, can she escape? Maybe I'll be a canary in a cage all my life. Xiaozi thought of suicide more than once, but she was not willing to die like this. She remembered her mother Tanayushi's dying prophecy that in 20 years someone would come to save Wanokuni. This belief makes Xiaozi decide to live. Dong dong. At this moment, there was a knock on the door. Xiaozi jumped up in fright. No need to guess, it must be the man here. Sure enough, a tall figure pushed open the door and walked in, accompanied by a gentle voice. Have you gotten used to it these days? Stop pretending here. Xiaozi hated in her heart and looked at the man coldly. Liu Xing admired the hatred in Xiaozi's eyes and smiled slightly. You should thank me for not revealing your identity, otherwise you will die. Xiaozi's face was covered with frost, and her tone was as cold as damn snow lotus. You can kill me now. Liu Xing walked forward slowly, the smile on his face unchanged. I said before that everyone has a love for beauty and likes to look up beautiful things and watch them carefully by themselves. What do you want to do? Seeing the man approaching and covering her, Xiaozi panicked and stepped back. Accidentally, his foot sprained and he fell to the ground. Liu Xing took advantage of the trend and picked Xiaozi up by the waist. It hurts, I'll go to bed and rub it for you. 29. Dumpling fruit. Second generation Guitou, seeking a monthly ticket for flower evaluation. Liu Xing came to Xiaozi's room at noon and didn't leave until evening. During this period, he had a deeper understanding of Xiaozi as the daughter of Kozuki and Tanayushi. Although she did not inherit Eden's cultivation talent, she perfectly inherited Tanayushi's beauty and intelligence. Otherwise, she couldn't have been lurking around the big snake for so many years. This is a woman who knows how to protect herself, but unfortunately she met him. Liu Xing stretched his waist, and was dripping with joy, feeling that his whole body was transparent. Come on. Two sturdy maids rushed over from outside the hospital. They were the soldiers carefully selected by Liu Xing from the Empowerment Corps. Xiaozi has been sick these days. You remember to bring in the food and feed her. Follow your orders, consort. The maid complied. After Liu Xing left, the two maids looked at each other and couldn't help showing envious expressions. That little Z, who used to be only the dancer of Kurozumi Oki, can actually be favored by the concubine. It's really a piece of shit luck. Who tells people to be beautiful? What's the use of being pretty? Can you knock down a wall with one punch? But the concubine doesn't think so. Liu Xing didn't go to his wife Yamato. At this time, he probably had the scent of Xiaozi on him, so he had to guard against it. He didn't go back to the island of Uni, but went to Uri, the place where Kozuki was a daimyo. Along the way, Liu Xing saw the scene of Wanokuni being extremely withered. These are the consequences of the cheap father-in-law and Kurozumi's ignorance of people's livelihood for so many years. If Liu Xing was a Wanokuni commoner, he would not hesitate to oppose his mother. Fortunately, Liu Xing has formulated perfect laws, and food will be continuously brought in from the outside world. I believe it won't be long before Wanokuni's face will be completely new. Liu Xing came all the way to Bionli village in July. He remembered that there lived a little girl from Au, who had the ability to dump fruit, and the biggest natural enemy of the 100 beasts. Observation Haki activates. Soon, Liu Xing felt something and walked straight to a dilapidated log cabin. Reach out and knock on the door. Beep tilde. Is anyone here? Who is it? There was a clear childish voice inside. After a while, the wooden door opened, revealing a small round little head, big eyes full of doubts. Who are you? Then the big eyes suddenly opened wider. Yeah, aren't you that good-looking big brother? Oh, you know me? Liu Xing crouched down, rubbed the little girl's fleshy face, and said with a smile. Yes, no. The little girl nodded like a chicken pecking at rice. On the big screen that day, I saw Big Brother, and I also knew that Wanokuni's older sister, General, is Big Brother's wife. Sister General? Liu Xing laughed casually. In addition to the most beautiful general, Yamato has another title. Little girl, you are so smart and sweet. If the elder sister knows about it, she will definitely praise you. By the way, what's your name? My name is Au. The little girl, Au, opened the wooden door completely without the slightest bit of alert, and turned around in a circle. The light green Xiaoluo skirt rippled in a graceful arc, and said with a smile. Liu Xing Heart Yunan couldn't help sighing. Such an innocent little girl, Liang, is really cute. My name is Liu Xing. We will be good friends from now on. Liu Xing reached out and lifted the little girl to sit on his shoulders. Ayu clapped her hands excitedly, with an unbelievable surprise on her face. Really, can I be friends with a big brother? She's just an ordinary little girl. You are not ordinary, you're dumpling fruit. Kaido will turn around and run away when he sees it. Liu Xing naturally wouldn't speak his mind, and was about to change the subject when an old voice came from inside the wooden house. Ayu, who are you talking to? Immediately afterwards, an odd old man dressed as a samurai walked out. As soon as the old man saw Liu Xing, his muscles immediately tightened. Seeing Ayu sitting on Liu Xing's shoulder, her expression changed greatly. You bastard, let go of Ayu. Before Liu Xing could speak, Ayu called out in dissatisfaction. Big brother is not a bastard, master. You are not allowed to scold big brother. Liu Xing put Ayu down and smiled. If I read it correctly, your old man is the descendant of the legendary swordsman Goucher in Wanokuni, Master Tengu Shinfeichi. The strange old man was shocked. This mysterious concubine of beasts has already inquired about all his information! Add. What do you want to do? Tengu Shinfeichi asked with extreme tension, and he was extremely vigilant. Don't worry, I have no ill intentions. I just want to invite your grandparents and grandchildren to temporarily live in the general's mansion in the capital of flowers. Impossible. Tengu Shinfeichi categorically refused. Liu Xing's smile did not change. He himself came here. Does Tengu Shinfeichi have the right to refuse? He turned to Ayu and said, Ayu, the elder sister also wants to see you very much. Besides, there are many interesting places in the flower city, and there are also many delicious things, such as candy, anko soup. In Ayu's flashing big eyes, a star-shaped light suddenly appeared. Her favorite food is anko soup. Let's go. Big brother, let's go to the capital of flowers. Tengu Shinfeichi has a helpless expression of hating iron for not becoming steel. Are you, this dead girl? When she heard what she was eating, she forgot her master into the sky. Liu Xing took Ayu's little hand and walked out, when he caught a glimpse of something out of the corner of his eye, and let out a light murmur. Is that the second-generation ghost of Daqi 21? Tengu Shinfeichi hurriedly hugged second-generation Gich in his arms, like a baby. Liu Xing shook his head and smiled. If it's the first-generation ghost of the Supreme Sword, I'm still a little interested, but the second generation will be fine. Take Ayu away. Even though Tengu Shinfeichi was reluctant, for Ayu's safety, he had no choice but to follow Liu crossing. Liu Xing's purpose here is mainly for Ayu's dumplings. This kind of big kill especially aimed at the beast group must be the master in his own hands. In addition, he also wanted to study dango to see if he could develop something with similar effects. 30. Momotaro rice balls, for flower evaluation. Add. Ayu's dumpling fruit has the ability to make all animals obedient. This is a disaster for the 100 beasts, almost all members of which are zone capable. In the original book, all the 500 man-made demon fruit power givers had defected. Liu Xing will naturally not let that kind of thing happen again. At the same time, he was also very curious about the properties of dango fruit, and wondered if he could develop similar props to tame the fur tribe of Zu. The fur tribe is a very powerful fighting force. Not only are they born with the ability to use thunder and lightning, they can also evolve into terrifying moon lions when they encounter a full moon. With such combat power, Liu Xing certainly wanted to pull him into the beasts. Feed them monster cells, and you can instantly get a fur clan army that is no weaker than that given to the Giver army. The problem is that the two leaders of the fur tribe, Cat Viper and Inulan, are one of the 9 heroes of Chixiao. It's basically impossible for them to surrender. Therefore, Liu Xing planned to use the dumpling fruit to develop props to make the fur tribe obedient. He took Ayu back to the general mansion of the capital of flowers. Yamato, who has already shown a bit of general style, is wearing a military uniform and looks more and more sassy and heroic. Wow, what a cute little girl. Yamato really liked Ayu very much, and pinched her auntie's face and body like a curious baby. Hee. Itchy tilde Sister General, you're making me so itchy. Sister General, your mouth is so sweet. Yamato couldn't help but kiss Ayu on the cheek. Liu Xing looked at the two girls with a smile, and suddenly thought of Xiaozi for some reason. It would be great if Yamato and Xiaozi could be as good as sisters like this. The Tangwu mountain in the back flew through, and the heart that had been raised was put down a little at this time. Compared to Liu Xing, who couldn't see through his thoughts at all, the new female general of Wanokuni was undoubtedly more simple and kind. Okay, you will have time to play slowly in the future. Liu Xing interrupted. Now, Ayu, give me one of your glutinous rice dumplings. Ayu nodded obediently, swiped her fingers on her cute face, and pulled out a glutinous rice dumpling. Wow, that's amazing. Yamato's eyes glowed, and he rubbed his hands on Ayu's face, strangely saying, why can't I find the dumplings? Liu Xing helplessly looked at his wife, who looked like a naughty girl. She was already a general of a country, so be careful. But he was too lazy to care. picked up the glutinous rice dumplings, left the general's mansion, and went straight to the laboratory. This time, he did not show up for 3 whole days. Zoot, sitting on the back of the Elephant Lord, is a moving country. There is little contact with the outside world, and it is difficult for ordinary people to find Zoot. But they were in the dark, but they kept in touch with Wanokuni and exchanged letters from time to time. However, for more than a week, Inuarashi and Cat Viper have not received any news from Wanokuni. He even sent a letter on his own initiative, but there was no reply there. Inulan and Cat Viper, the King of Day and King of Night who had sworn to never communicate with each other, finally couldn't hold back and met in a secret room. The two temporarily forgot their past grievances. Inulan was the first to worry and said, there might be a change in Wanokuni's side. Cat Viper frowned deeply and said, I don't know what happened to the safety of Denjiro and Miss Hiwa. On Wanokuni's side, Denjiro has always been in contact with them. I have a bad feeling about going to Wanokuni or not. However, we haven't waited for Momonosuke-sama and Kaineman and the others before the 20 years predicted by Madam. Before his death, Tanayushi, a person with fruit ability, used his fruit ability to send his son Momonosuke and several Kazuki retainers to 20 years later. Now, 20 years are still a few years away. Then we can only wait here. Inulan got angry and said loudly. Cat Viper also roared, Lozi doesn't want to, otherwise, what can you do? Inuarashi was speechless. After a long time, Inulan sighed, wait a few more days to see, it really doesn't work. We can only send fur warriors to risk their lives Wanokuni to find out the news. Cat Viper nodded gloomily. Ghost Island. The door to the laboratory, which had been closed for 3 days, finally opened. Master Consort, you can figure it out. If you don't show up again, Kaido boss and Yamato young master will take out my anger. As soon as Liu Xing appeared, a thunderous complaint sounded in his ears. Be quieter, Pei. Do you want to deaf my ears? Liu Xing didn't feel good. Peggy One pouted, still looking full of resentment. Liu Xing was amused. How could he look like a grudge? So he changed the subject and said, Little Pei, how have you been practicing recently? Is the triple gravity roam still useful? Speaking of cultivation, Peggy One immediately turned his resentment into joy and said proudly, Master Consort, I have been able to hold on for several hours under 3 times the gravity. The combat power value is also risen from 5,000 to 6,000. So smart. Liu Xing frowned. Peggy deserves to be a member of the Flu family before the age of 20. The talent and potential are really good. Peggy One raised his head proudly. Of course, if I continue to practice like this, sooner or later, I will be able to evolve the fruit into a phantom beast. It seems that the humans have not evolved, which is really the eternal pain in Pijawan's heart. Liu Xing felt a little guilty for fooling Pijawan. He patted the latter on the shoulder and encouraged, come on, Xiaozi, you can definitely do it, I'm optimistic about you. Peggy One was moved to tears. Sister Auntie, and other Flu Bao, attacked him every day with this incident, and only the concubine encouraged him. Peggy nodded heavily, I will definitely work harder. The expression of resignation made Liu Xing feel even more guilty. By the way, concubine, what are you holding in your hand, and is it a new invention? Oh, this one. Liu Xing raised the round thing in his hand and said, this is called a Momotaro rice ball, a prop that can make beasts obedient. If you like this audiobook, subscribe the channel for more videos like this and join my Patreon if you want to support me. Leave some comment and let me know if you guys like this story, or you have a web novel you like and want to hear its audiobook. I will be happy to create them for you. Please like, share, and leave a comment on the video.